I'm gonna turn the script, man. Right? Because we've been hearing a lot of rumors. We've been hearing a lot of stuff. But out there in Philly, they're fearing the beard, man. You hear the trade rumors of James Harden. James Harden has demanded a trade for whatever reason. What team should the 76ers right now should be entertaining for James Harden trade requests?
Shanghai Sharks. Who does Jeremy Lin play for? Try and trade for Jeremy Lin, I think. That's
where did Jimmy Fredette go? I mean,
might have been Shanghai.
But no, on a serious note, though, I was really sitting and thinking about this. I looked at just about every roster in the league, and I don't know where he could really go where they would, one, get the assets they were probably looking for, and then he would also be happy and be successful. Like, it's not too many places. I mean, I guess Miami would be kind of a choice just because, I mean, a point guard. I mean, he's a true point guard now. He's not the scorer he used to be. I mean, he could show, flurries and flashes, but he's a true point guard really now. I mean, he's passing the ball much kind of like how Chris Paul has been, in his later years. He's not who he used to be. I don't know where he could really go to honestly be successful or make the team better than what they are, or to move the needle, to say.
So I'm about to say, do the 70. Well, even though I know this is going to be risky, but do the 76ers sit there and say, we're not going to trade him? I know he opted into his player option, and it gets risky because next off season, he can just sit there and walk and you lose him for nothing. But do the Philadelphia 76ers get in a situation where I'm not going to trade him?
Oh, well, it's tough because honestly, I think you kind of have to. I mean, this guy's only on a 1-year contract, and we know how he's gone about things before. It's very likely that he would just leave straight away. And even if he does get traded, whatever team takes him on has to think that they're most likely going to want him long term. But at the end of the day, you might only have him for a year, So I think Philadelphia, while they can, you got to try and trade him for something. And realistic thing is, the offers aren't going to be that great. I think if they're going to get anything, you're most likely going to get a trade package out of the Clippers. I think they'd be the most likely team to try and trade for James Harden at this point.
So I'm about to say, with that being said, should the Clippers entertain a trade offer for him? I mean, we've heard that as rumors that the Clippers are looking at James Harden, but should they really pull the trigger?
To be honest, I don't think so, because I think Russ did his job. I think he was serviceable over there. I mean, because what do you do with Russ? At that point, you're bringing in another point guard. I mean, Russ is pretty much comfortable where he's at, and he's playing well enough to, obviously beat in the playoffs. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't take that if I'm the Clippers.
Yeah, I personally would if you don't have to trade for much. Like if you traded up Marcus, like some people are saying it's going to be Marcus Morris, another player similar to him and on similar money, and literally a protected first or a couple of seconds or something. His trade value is extremely low just because he's only got 1 year right now. So if the Clippers think they can get him and they don't have to give up a lot to get James Harden to the team, I wouldn't think losing Marcus Morris would be that, it's not that bad. Yeah. But yeah, I get what you mean with the Westbrook situation though. Like Westbrook actually had a really underrated stretch with the Clippers then, and they brought him back for only $4 million a year. And we definitely, I just can't imagine Westbrook and James Harden being able to mesh together in 2023. Seeing them on the court together would be so ugly, I think, to see at this rate. But again, I think if you're dead set on that championship like the Clippers are, I don't see why you wouldn't try and get James Harden to the team.
I honestly think you'd make that trade. I don't know what you're giving up though, because if the Clippers sitting here saying I'm not trading Paul George or Kawhi, and obviously you're not trading Russ, like what are you giving up to get Harden? Like has the value of James Harden hit that rock bottom that fast? Like, because and even if it did, and you're talking about, all right, I'm gonna give up Terrence Mann, some picks, Robert Covington, I'm making that
mean,
deal. I'm
Yeah.
making that happen. Because honestly, all right, I understand you say you question if James Harden and Russell Westbrook can play together, but honestly, let's be real. Russell Westbrook is probably gonna come off the bench.
Yep.
He's gonna come off the bench. James Harden is probably gonna be their primary point guard. And to be honest, to be even more honest, James Harden is probably gonna be the closest thing to Houston that he's been since he's been in Philadelphia. Honestly, because now you're telling him with Kawhi and Paul George, I need you to score, because they really don't need a playmaking James Harden. Honestly, like if he gets 30 and 6 assists, that's the player they wanted.
But can he still do that?
I think he can.
Can he still do that? That's the question.
I think
that's
he
the
can.
thing.
With Ty Lue, I think he can. You got a coach who's like the ultimate freelance coach, the ultimate player friendly coach. I think he can. Even if it's not 30, I'm thinking I'm gonna give him 30 and 5. I think James Harden can do that, because who's gonna take them shots? Kawhi?
If he's healthy, maybe.
Yeah.
If he's right.
That's the question, though. That is the question, though.
And then you talking about, let's say, the playoffs, like, it gets real tricky.
I mean, I obviously, if it's that cheap, I would definitely go for it. I'm more so thinking about a fit standpoint, but yeah, I mean, if it's that cheap, you got to go for it. I mean, James Harden is still a valuable piece to a basketball team. I don't want to make it sound like I'm taking that away from him, but I don't know. I mean, just recently, he hasn't played that many games in the last couple of seasons. So I mean, you add another player who possibly could be missing time to a team that all of its players miss time. I mean, it just depends. I mean, I think best case scenario, if you get him for cheap and then everyone stays healthy, then go for it, because that would definitely look very interesting. But honestly, if any team from James Harden's standpoint, I think he's probably looking at a team that could use a point guard, like maybe the Heat, or maybe even the Raptors, because I mean, with Fred gone, I mean he would replace him instantly.
So is that your dark horse? That's your dark horse trade?
Yeah, I think between those two teams, that would be a very interesting look, and probably the best scenario if we're getting the playmaking James Harden. Now, if we're talking about scoring James Harden, like you said, the Clippers would be interesting. I think Toronto still would be good, just because, I mean, Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam I wouldn't put them as, scorers, but they can definitely get buckets. I think he would be the more aggressive between the three. But I don't know. It's interesting. I really had to think about this one, because I really don't know what's the best scenario for him and a team.
I'm gonna say, Jordan, how you feeling? Who your dark horse?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I actually really agree. Like, my dark horse was legitimately the Raptors as well, which is really weird that we both had that. Yeah, because I don't know what the direction the Raptors are really going in at this rate, because I thought they were going to potentially trade away a bunch of these guys, start a rebuild, but they kept everyone and decided to sign Dennis Schroeder, which, I mean, yeah, that's fun and all. I like Schroeder, but I don't think he can be your starting point guard. So I actually think James Harden on the Raptors would be really good, especially if they want to contend. But on the Heat, I just feel like with how Jimmy Butler plays his game, I think he's predominantly a more of a point forward type of guy. And the reason I think he'd work so great with Dame is because Dame, I think, can play off ball as well, and I think those two would mesh quite well together. But I don't know, Harden and Butler would probably be arguing over the ball. I feel like if Schroeder tried to argue with Harden over the ball, it just wouldn't end well, and Schroeder would just be sent to the bench. So, yeah, I don't think you have to worry about much there. I actually think the Raptors are definitely a dark horse team as well. I really agree with that. But yeah, Clippers, I think they should pull the trigger, get James Harden to the team.
You know who I got as a dark horse, honestly, and I just thought about that as y'all was talking, and it's gonna be weird, and it might be a lot of things that's wrong with it, but I do think it would have the most excitement, right?
Yeah.
I think a dark horse who actually got the asses to do it is the New Orleans Pelicans.
Ooh.
Like you trade
No,
CJ
that-
McCollum.
I had a hint of that in the back of my mind. I'm not gonna lie, I had a hint of that, but I'm like, nah, that sounds crazy. But no, I mean, you can do it though. Honestly,
you trade you sacrifice James Harden. You got picks. You got young talent you can throw in there that makes it enticing. You realistically got the most asses to get it done without giving up the most, right? And in a perfect world, you can sit there and say, maybe you can have a roster that looks like James Harden, Zion Williamson, Ingram, and Valanciunas, maybe.
Yep.
Or maybe it's James Harden, Zion, Valanciunas, and you got a lot of different options. You can go with that. You can trade an Ingram.
yeah.
You can trade a Zion. You can trade a Valanciunas. You can trade a CJ McCollum. You got a lot of different ways you can approach this, and you got a lot of young talents to get it done.
That is
So
true.
I don't know, man. I think the New Orleans
That is
Pelicans would be a
true.
little favorable.
I like that. Well, James Harden probably also knows Mariah Mills too, so
Oh,
he'll
yeah.
have something in common with Zion. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll already
Yeah,
have
he like
something to talk
partying.
about.
You can party
Yeah.
in New
Don't love
Orleans.
like partying.
Yeah, he like you can get the party.
Hey.
You like that?
Imagine if they don't even have to trade up CJ McCollum as well. Though. Like, if you were Philadelphia, they would be interested in Dyson Daniels, a top 10 pick who hasn't really had much of an opportunity. He would automatically start at point guard for Philadelphia. That'd be awesome for them. And I mean, as you mentioned, if you could keep CJ, you're looking at Harden, CJ, Ingram, Zion, and like a Valanciunas, which is just, that team is insane on paper. And if they could put it together, that almost might be one of the best looking teams in the NBA.
So with that, that's all our topics for today. Is there anything y'all kind of want to shout out, bring out, or something?
Ooh. I
Go
mean,
ahead. Yeah.
yeah, congratulations, Relly, on 3,000 subscribers. That's mad. That's a great achievement right there.
I appreciate you, man. I don't know how I got there, but I appreciate it.
Hard work.
I'm gonna say, Taz, what you got anything to shout out?
Hey man, just come follow me, Tasmania 216_Taz_. You know what I'm saying? One of the best gamers out here. No, I'm lying, but yeah, definitely enjoy working with you, Jordan. This has been awesome. I hope to do it again soon. But yeah, man, definitely come check out Hothead. I mean, we got the best.
100%.
Yes.
And that's all for us, folks.